Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Pulling out the stops again today. Leading cause of death in the United States, MD-directed medical therapeutics. Leading cause of bankruptcy, MD-directed medical therapeutics. Well, we've given our health over to the hands of the MDs. Infertility is on the rise. Arthritis is on the rise. 1/3 of the population is obese. Alzheimer's is now the 6th leading cause of death, and 1 out of 89 kids are born autistic. Doesn't that just make you feel warm and fuzzy inside? And of course, instead of taking responsibility for their incompetence, instead of reassessing their world view, their Weltanschauung, the MDs blame you. Can't be their fault. Can't be the high and mighty, highly educated MD. Oh, no. It's got to be your fault. You've got the bad gene. It's your fault. You have the bad gene. You have the fat gene. You have the arthritis gene. You have the type 2 diabetes gene. You have the infertility gene. You have the everything all the time gene. And apparently everybody also has the poverty gene. The MD, however, will fail to be able to tell you specifically which gene it is that's coding for your obesity, will not be able to tell you specifically which gene it is that's coding for your type 2 diabetes. And, in fact, if they ever do, in fact, find a gene which is related to the genesis of a chronic illness, like the BRCA gene in its relationship to breast cancer, they won't tell you that it's a mutation of a gene. They'll tell you that it's a gene, and they're wrong. It's not a gene. It's a mutation of a gene. There's a big difference between a healthy 2x4 and a rotten 2x4. What are you going to build your house out of? Rotten 2x4s or healthy 2x4s? And oh, by the way, how does a healthy 2x4 become rotten? Does it just spontaneously happen? Do the atoms and the molecules just spontaneously reorganize themselves for no reason whatsoever and now the wood's rotten? No! There's a process that leads to making the wood rotten. There's a process that leads to the mutation of the gene, but the MDs don't give a crap about it because it's not in their wheelhouse. It's not their thing. We all need to collectively wake up, take a deep breath, and understand what's going on here. Just call a spade a spade. Again, your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but they don't know what's best for you. They only know what they've been trained in. We just need to understand this, and nobody does. Everybody has bought the party line, hook, line, and sinker, that the MD is the undisputed emperor of the domain of medicine, and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack, right? That's what we believe. That's the cultural meme. That's what everybody thinks. Had an argument a couple months ago at a wedding with a gentleman who said, well, it really ticks me off when people other than MDs call themselves doctor. I say, what? You know who I am, right? And he said, no. I told him what my profession was, and he said, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. Well, what is it that you don't buy? You don't buy the fact that the United States Department of Education, the same accreditation body that allows MDs to matriculate from medical schools. By the way, you need to think this one through. If you grew up in Massachusetts, you went to high school in Massachusetts, and then you decided to go to college, or medical school, let's say, in California, what is it that allows the California school to accept the credits from the Massachusetts school? What is it? Because California doesn't know. Maybe the school you went to in Massachusetts was out of the back of a pickup truck. Maybe you had a goat teaching you higher mathematics. They don't know. This is why the Department of Education is there, and this is why the Department of Education has an accreditation process, right? So there are standards that every academic institution in the United States has to rise up to. There are tests that they need to pass in order to be accredited. Now, once a school is accredited, its credits are good anywhere. So this is what enables people who went to high school in Massachusetts to go to college anywhere in the United States they want. Of course, they have to get accepted. They have to get into the college. But they can apply, and if their grades are good enough, they can go anywhere in the United States. And it's the same reason that allows people who graduated from Harvard Medical School to practice medicine in Arizona or California or San Francisco or wherever they want, because of the accreditation process that levels the playing field for all academic institutions. So we know that the education delivered by a medical school in Massachusetts is equivalent to, or at least meets the same bar as a medical school in Louisiana, as a medical school in Arizona, as a medical school anywhere that's been accredited. So the guy that told me, oh, I just don't buy it, didn't think it through. And it's prejudice that drives notions like this. I graduated from, I went to a fully accredited university, two universities, one a regular university and the other a medical university. The University of Massachusetts in Amherst is a fully accredited academic institution. I got a BS, a Bachelor of Science in Pre-Med. The University of Massachusetts, that degree is referred to as zoology, a Bachelor of Science in Zoology. It's their pre-med program. And because they were an accredited academic institution, it allowed me to apply to go to medical school anywhere in the United States, anywhere I want. Probably anywhere in Europe, but I don't know how that works when we cross borders. I chose to go to a fully accredited naturopathic medical school, not an allopathic MD medical school, and the medical school that I went to is fully accredited, which means that it passed the same standards that Harvard Medical School passed. Same standards, passed them, met them and passed them, and got the stamp of approval by the United States Department of Education. So I graduated from a fully accredited pre-med degree granting academic institution, and then I received a doctoral degree from a fully accredited naturopathic medical school, Seattle, Washington, Bastyr University to be specific. And then passed national boards and state boards, and then secured a license to practice medicine. By the way, 17 states licensed naturopathic medicine. So the fellow that just didn't buy it must mean that he thinks that somehow we hoodwinked the United States Department of Education and the legislatures of 17 states into believing that we really are doctors when we're not. Right? Yeah, well, he has his head up as you know what. But lots of people do in this country because they're just not educated about the facts. They just don't know. And popular opinion has become the rule of law, right? It's reality by consensus. Everybody believes something to be so just because everybody believes something to be so. Oh, those blacks, they're bad people. They're not really people. They're just animals like, monkeys. And that's how we justified slavery for years. Oh, those American Indians. Oh, no. They're heathens. They're not really people. They're animals. So just kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Take their land. Kill them. No harm, no foul. Everybody sleeps at night. Well, except the Native Americans. Oh, no. The earth is flat. Oh, no. Women aren't smart enough to vote. Oh, no. We can't have a thriving economy unless we have childhood labor. Oh, no. No unions. Whatever. It's nonsense what people have accepted as reality just because they think it to be real. Well, it's no different in the wonderful world of medicine. And the cultural myth that is killing people literally and bankrupting people every minute of every day is the false notion, the myth, the cultural meme, the false cultural reality by consensus belief that the MD is the undisputed owner of medicine and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack. It's nonsense. MDs are only trained in a small subset of medicine. It's a tiny piece of the pie of medicine, but they have co-opted their tiny piece of the pie into a monopoly of the entire medical theater, and they did it with pharmaceutical money. I talked about this yesterday, a really good book on this subject. It's out of print. You might be able to find an old copy on Amazon, Rockefeller Medicine Man by E. Richard Brown. I made a reference to that in my book. If you really want to kind of take a bite out of this concept and chew it, go sit on a fence post and chew it. Get a copy of my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. Go to my website, drglidden.com, download it. You can have it on your computer by the time the first commercial pops up on this show. Knowledge is power, folks. We don't have any understanding of what's going on here. And people think that, doctors are involved in the scientific method. So how can what they be different than what the naturopaths or the chiropractors or the homeopaths are about? It's because they're not involved with science. They're involved with reductionism. And reductionism, again, is one small piece of the pie of medical science. In quantum physics, the stuff that informs the atom bomb, the stuff that informs string theory and the subatomic world is a completely different set of scientific rules. Completely different than reductionism. And the rules that apply to the human body are holistic. They are not reductionistic. So when you attempt to understand what's happening inside the human body, to understand the nature of health, the nature of disease, when you look at the body through a reductionistic lens, you will be mistaken. Your data will be corrupted. There's an a priori built-in bias that you're completely unaware of. And this is why the MDs are the most dangerous people in the world, unless, of course, you need surgery. Because surgery, right, is the epitome of reductionism. It is a part of the body that is broken. Well, we need to open this up, and we need to go in, and we need to not touch this nerve, and we not need to slice this artery, and we need to practice a sterile technique, and this is the implement that we need to remove the shard of shrapnel, and then this is the surgical suture that we need to sew the wound up, and this is the material that we're going to use to do it. That's reductionism. But for the conditions that most people go to the doctor for, most of the time, reductionism is a dead end, and that's why we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. It's not the drug, it's how it's used. It's the philosophy that the MDs bring to bear. It's old-fashioned, outdated, archaic, and dangerous. For goodness sake, fire your MD now. By the way, we are live streaming. If you like the way this sounds, check out the way it looks, and also enter into a chat room. We have 63 people now, I think, in the chat room. 63 people in the chat room. There was a question from the chat room during the break about trigeminal neuralgia, very, very painful. Trigeminal neuralgia, we believe, is caused by the same mechanism that causes vertigo, that causes ringing in the ears, that causes lazy eyes, that causes Bell's palsy, that causes chronic laryngitis. It's osteoporosis of the skull, basically. So you can use the CM cream liberally around the jaw and behind the ear, topically and even inside the ear with a Q-tip on the side of the face that's affected by the trigeminal neuralgia to effectively attempt to knock down the inflammation while we are supporting and promoting the structure and function of the skull, which we believe has been compromised by lack of nutrition. So the recommendation to support and promote the structure and function of the body during a diagnosis of trigeminal neuralgia would be 1 healthy bone and joint pack and 2 selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. 1 healthy bone and joint pack and 2 selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and that's how we do it. This is an important concept for people to understand, and so I'm gonna talk about it for the next 4 minutes, and then in the top of the next section, we're going to go to Sue in Kansas City. So people don't understand, by and large, that the MDs are not trained in a scientific method. Well, they're trained in a scientific method, but the scientific method that they're trained in is just one piece of the pie of scientific methods. It's called reductionism. Reductionism argues that if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And since nobody has ever dissected the soul out of the human body or seen it with an MRI, a CT, or an ultrasound, the soul doesn't exist. And if the soul doesn't exist, well, it doesn't exist, and it can therefore have nothing to do with how the body works. Now, reductionism argues the body is a machine made of parts, just like your automobile, and that it's the doctor's job to do diagnostic discovery to figure out a piece of the body that's malfunctioning, and then to deliver a medicine which attempts to manage that one piece. And the medicines never attempt to fix or cure anything. The medicines, with the exception of infectious diseases, but the medicine attempts simply to suppress the symptoms and manage the disease process, because the MD believes that the human body is an evolutionary accident. You are a skin and bones bag of biochemicals waiting to break. It's only a matter of time until something does break, and then when something does break, the body does not have the ability to fix it. So it's the doctor's job to manage the symptoms with drugs until things get so bad that you need surgery. That's their philosophy from start to finish, because they're reductionistic. And this is also why when you go to a reductionistically trained MD, you get one medicine for your heartburn, one medicine for your high blood pressure, one medicine for your insomnia, one medicine for your asthma, one medicine for your fibromyalgia, one medicine for your thyroid, one medicine for your arthritis in your hips, one medicine for your gout, one medicine for the kidney stones, and one medicine for the fungal infection on your skin, right? Isn't that how it goes? You get a medicine to pee, a medicine not to pee, a medicine to fall asleep, a medicine to wake up, so forth and so on. It's insanity, but because it's the way that things are, nobody questions it, and everybody just goes along for the ride. I was at the golf course over the weekend, and I love golf, by the way. And I overheard a conversation with a guy, on the next hole, saying he'd just been diagnosed. He probably looked like he was in his 60s, just diagnosed with diabetes, and now he's got to take one more drug. He said to his buddy, "I feel like a walking pharmaceutical factory." And, I feel for him, because that's the norm now. It's the new norm. Everybody's taken umpteen gazillion prescription medications, not because doctors have stock in pharmaceutical companies. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. But you're prescribed so many drugs because that's the reductionistic model, because your body is a machine made of parts, and it's the doctor's job to manage each part. Holism, on the other hand, argues everything is connected. So we don't give one medicine for each thing. We give a comprehensive, holistic package for everything. And that's a much better way to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Smell the roses and walk with me into a bright future in the undiscovered country of science-based, clinically verified medical nutritionists. God is my witness, you do not know what you're missing. Stick around. Kansas City and Sue are up next. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, pulling back the curtain on everything you didn't even know you didn't know about medicine. And again, it's the stuff that is so far outside of your reference range, so far outside of your wheelhouse. It is in the domain of the stuff that you didn't know that. And when you get a clue about the stuff that's there, the stuff that you didn't know, that's when you have an aha moment. That's when you have a eureka moment. And hopefully I just gave you one with the understanding of reductionism, and that's why people are on so many meds, because the MD sees your body as a machine made of parts, and it's their job to manage each part with a different drug. Which is good if you're an android, not so good if you are a human being. Let's go to Kansas City, see what Sue's up to. Hey, Sue. Thanks for the phone call. You are live. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, but I'll get better. What's happening?
Well, I have been doing longevity since last October, and about 3 months ago, I started doing 15 glucogel a day, 6 selenium a day, the enzymes before I eat. Anyway, I have a Baker's cyst behind my left knee that is not getting any better. And I think it's causing... Okay, go ahead.
And you think it's causing what?
The swelling. I think my left leg is just a little bit bigger than my right leg, and I'm right-handed, which shouldn't be. And it's not painful now, but it's noticeable, and I'm pretty active.
Yeah, so the Baker's cyst used to be painful, and now it's no longer painful?
Well, you know what? Right when I got it, when I realized I had it, I couldn't even, and I sleep soundly at night, and I could not sleep for like 3 or 4 nights in a row. And I called Dr. Wallach's one that told me to go 15 glucogel a day. That was like back in October, November. And I've gone off all the 10 bad foods. I lost 30 pounds in 3 months.
That's remarkable, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I wasn't even trying. I have no cravings whatsoever.
Great.
It's marvelous. But I don't know if I'm getting enough protein because I'm not hungry. I mean, I'll tell you what I eat. I eat 2 poached eggs in the morning with lots of butter and ground up flaxseed and ground up almonds on it. And then I eat yogurt, but I put my powder calcium, and my peach fusion on there, and sometimes some vegetarian protein. And I'm not against meat, but the last time I ate red meat, I had such a hurting in my gut. It was painful.
Are you blood type A?
I'm blood type AB negative.
Yeah. All right. When do you get salt in your body?
In the mornings before I do my breakfast, I take an enzyme, and I take, what else do I take before I eat? There's 5 things I take. Anyway, I put a bunch of salt in that glass of water and vitamin stuff, and then I salt my eggs really well. Anytime I think of salt, I'll put it in water instead of just drinking water. I'll salt my water because I'm telling you, I don't eat that much, and I'm not anorexic. I'm not hungry.
Well,
I make myself eat.
Well, I'm glad that you called because I have some good news for you.
What?
Well, they've done just recently, like in the last 5 years, more progressive researchers around the world are doing research with animals about longevity, right? And looking to see what you can do, if anything, to increase the lifespan of, an earthworm or a spider monkey or whatever, right? Because you can't do experiments like this on humans, at least not in the United States. And what they're finding is any animal of any genus or species, including mammals, including primates, including birds and earthworms and little algae, when they are on a calorie-restricted diet, they live much longer.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So one of the keys to having a long, and not only just a long life, because who the hell wants to be, 105 years old in a wheelchair for 20 years, right? Right. It's not only being able to live longer, maximizing your genetic potential, which in a human being, by the way, is 120 years, but it's also the quality of life increases dramatically, as does your lifespan when you're on a limited calorie diet. One of the secrets to having a long life is eating very few calories. So now remember, you got to think this through, right? The body is it's an open system. It's not a closed system. And like an automobile, the body needs certain things in order to keep it running, right? You got to put oil in the car and transmission fluid and gas in the tank and air in the tires, right? So the human body needs 90 essential nutrients. Now, once you've done that and you've stopped eating food that's causing inflammation and it's gumming up the works, the only thing that you need food for is calories to burn for energy, a little bit of fat, but really not that much because there's fat in the EFAs that you're getting, a little bit of fat for your central nervous system, and protein that your body can use to repair itself. But really, you're getting protein already in the 90 essential nutrients because proteins are broken down into amino acids, and you get the full complement of amino acids with the 90 essential nutrients. So having a reduced appetite when you are taking the full complement of medical nutrition into your body is not an indication that anything's wrong. It's an indication that you are in step with your body's groove for long life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
What's causing gas?
Well, there's a lot of things. Well, there's a lot of things that can cause gas, but the most common thing that causes gas is a blockage somewhere in the large intestine. So, there's crap in there that hasn't been eliminated, and it's gumming up the works, and that's the main cause of gas. So if I were you...
Colonic irrigation?
Yep, colonic irrigation. You betcha.
I've got a colonic board.
You betcha. Well, is it the Colema board?
Yes.
Yeah, man, I had a Colema board back in the 80s.
Yep.
And I love that thing. You got to be careful with the Colema board. You got to be careful with it. And if it's in the budget and it's convenient, you know, there's a certified colon hydrotherapist in your town. I don't know where you live. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. That's also an option. It's actually better for you than the Colema board. And here's how that hierarchy goes. It's a colonic, the Colema board, and then just an old-fashioned retention enema, right? You know, in level of effectiveness, actual getting work done. So, but also there's something else that I want you to consider here. All right, and this is a very interesting thing to talk about. Sometimes with tumors, what we find in the holistic world when we're treating patients with a particular type of tumor is the tumor will not go away. The tumor will remain present, but the body will seal the tumor off from the rest of the body, and you know, you'll live the rest of your life with the tumor. It doesn't grow, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't metastasize, it doesn't go anywhere. You've still got this little tumor in the body, but it doesn't become a runaway freight train like it does with other types of illness. And it's possible that that's what's happening with the Baker's cyst, that the body doesn't have the ability to get rid of it, but what the body is doing is walling it off from the rest of the body. The process that caused it to grow is no longer at play, and so the Baker's cyst is really just going to become like you know, an archaeological remnant in your body. And the main thing to consider here is the absence of a strong and persistent symptoms, because remember, strong and persistent noticeable symptoms, things that you feel like pain, irritation, itching, right, restless legs, whatever, symptoms are an indication that there's something wrong with the body. Absence of symptoms is an indication that something is right with the body. And so if historically the Baker's cyst was symptomatic, but now it is no longer symptomatic, then it's entirely possible that the body has handled it, and, you know, you're just going to have to live with the Baker's cyst. Now, there are, you know, if it's...
My whole knee is swollen, and I'll tell you what I do. I wrap it with an ace bandage every day and put CM cream on the back and on the sides of my knee. And then at night, I put one of those ice packs on it and wrap a knee brace, pretty sturdy knee brace around, and just go to bed, you know. Get up in the morning.
Okay, so now remember, there are a number of ways up the mountain of holistic medicine. A number of ways up the mountain of holistic medicine, with the top of the mountain being, you know, optimal health. Medical nutrition is like a highway up, but sometimes medical nutrition only takes you so far. And it's entirely possible that moving forward, especially since you've done the glucogel for an extended period of time and haven't seen any resolution, that you're going to need to move outside of medical nutrition to get on the other side of this particular Baker's cyst problem. Now, if it were me, the next place that I would go to would be acupuncture. I would find a licensed, certified acupuncturist and be assessed by them, have them tell you what they think is going on here and whether or not they think they can help you to get on the other side of it. And I'd get on board with their therapeutics for, you know, however long a period of time they recommend. But so I think that you may be at a point now where you need to bring in, you know, the artillery or the Navy SEALs, to use a patently male metaphor. You just need a different therapeutic approach now to get you around this, because I don't think medical nutrition is going to be able to take this all the way. But and having said that, without medical nutrition, all of the other therapeutics would fail, because your body needs the 90 essential nutrients in order to function optimally. And if you try to alter somebody's vital force with the needles, with an acupuncture, but the body isn't mineralized, you're going to have piss poor results. If you give somebody a homeopathic remedy and their body is under mineralized, you're going to get piss poor results. if you go to a chiropractor and you need adjustments and you bring to them a body that's under mineralized, they're going to adjust you, but then 10 minutes after you leave the office, it's going to fail. It's going to go back to where it was before because it doesn't have any structural integrity. So it's not like the stuff that you've done with medical nutrition has been wasted. It's the stuff that you've done with medical nutrition has laid a really good foundation for now another holistic modality to come in like the cavalry and save the day. And the first place I would go to is acupuncture. Have you tried that for this?
No, I haven't.
So that's what I would do. Now, there are a handful of acupuncturists that I know who are really good. And, because none of them live in Kansas City, my recommendation to you is when you are shopping for an acupuncturist, find someone from China who has difficulty speaking English, right? Well, I'm being a little flip here. If I had to choose between someone who was trained in acupuncture in China and who grew up as a China man or a woman immersed in that culture and was trained as an acupuncturist and had experience with acupuncture in mainland China and then came to the U.S., or a United States citizen who learned acupuncture at a college of acupuncture here in the U.S., if I had to choose between those two people, I'd go to the person from China every single time because that's their wheelhouse. And, like I said, I know 3 Occidental acupuncturists who are awesome, but none of them live in Kansas City. So my advice to you is find an acupuncturist, a Chinese acupuncturist, and get assessed. And call me back after you do with a report. I sure would look forward to that. I appreciate you, Sue. Stick around, folks. Much, much, much more to come. Yeah, I know. You don't want to work. Who wants to work? Nobody wants to work. I mean, unless, like the saying goes, you really love what you do, then it's really not like work. And if you become a longevity member, and it's your cup of tea, then you're going to love your work. And it's not going to be like work. And you're going to make way more money than you would at a job. I mean, unless you're the CEO of, Procter & Gamble or Toyota or IBM or, you're Steve Jobs' illegitimate child. If you're just a normal Joe or Jane, you've probably hit the glass ceiling with your employment and your paycheck. So there is another way that you can use something else that you can do if you feel so inclined to increase your net worth and to maybe even generate a legacy, right? And here's what you tell people. I'm working at my job full-time, and I'm working on my fortune part-time. Would you like to hear my story? I'm working on my job full-time and my fortune part-time. Would you like to hear my story? That's a really good enrollment conversation. Learned that from Jim Rohn, the late, great Jim Rohn, one of network marketing's greatest strategists. Working part-time on my fortune. Would you like to hear my story? And who's going to say no to that? Right? And this is actually what we're doing when we're involved with a longevity business. We're working on a fortune. And I don't know if people have really thought this through, especially members of the African American community here, because the African Americans have been screwed so much for the last, the million years, that it's hard for African Americans to develop legacies that they can leave for their ancestors, right? I mean, it's hard for them to do that. It's only the white people that are able to do that because the white people have been ahead of the curve for 100 years and building their fortunes on the back of the black workers, right? It's nuts. So think this through. If you, knuckle down and build a law practice, or a real estate practice, or whatever, you work for a Fortune 500 company and you work your way up through the ranks, right? And you're making a really good paycheck every month, really good paycheck every month, and then you die. What happens to your paycheck? Can you will your paycheck to your wife or your kids? And can they keep getting paid after you're gone by your employer? No, they can't. The money stops when you stop, right? Well, if you become a network marketer, if you join Youngevity, if you become a Youngevity associate, if you become a Youngevity business builder, and you work your Youngevity business into however much you want to work it to, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $300,000 a month, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, when you die, you can will your Youngevity business to whomever you want, and the checks keep coming. And that's how you can build a legacy of fortune for your family, your ancestors, your heirs. It's an untalked about benefit to network marketing. And, I was under the cultural myth for 19 years that network marketing was crap, that, network marketing was evil, that network marketing was like, network marketing, what the heck is that? I don't want that. I had no idea what it was. But I was going along with the cultural consciousness that, that's not a good thing to do for 19 years. And then my head popped out of my you-know-what, and I saw the light. And I've got to tell you, knowing what I know now about network marketing and seeing how far I and my organization have come just in the last 2 years, I can't imagine where I would be had I started this 19 years ago. Well, quite frankly, I can imagine where I would be, and it ticks me off to no end. But like the fella said, if wishes were fishes, we'd all cast nets. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Youngevity is here, not only for your health, but for your wealth. Hour 2 coming up shortly. Susie from Florida is up next. See you then. It's the second hour. Can you stand it? Hour 2, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how anybody listens to me for 2 straight hours. God bless you. Let's go to Florida and see what Susie's up to. She's been holding on forever. Hey, Susie, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Clay, how are you?
I'm great, but hopefully I'll get better. What's happening?
What do you do for sinus infection, and what causes it?
Cut your nose off, cut your face off, cut your sinuses out. That's what the MDs recommend, right?
Yes.
I mean, right? Right?
That's correct.
Got to ream that sinus out, get the drill out. Let's go down to Home Depot and get the 1/4-inch drill bit and just shove it up there. It's nuts what they do, right? So from our point of view, chronic sinusitis can be involved with a number of things, right? Well, one of the things that nobody talks about, and the main thing, of course, which I'll roll around to at the end, is, medical nutrition. We have to make sure that the sinus cavity is properly nutrified. Because if the sinus cavity doesn't have the nutrients that it needs, it's going to get funky, it's going to get dried out, it's not going to work the way that nature intended it to. And then all manner of weird things are going to start to happen to it. It's kind of like if you had a man-made pond in your backyard, or a pool. You put a pool in your property, and when you have pools, there's a source to bring good water in, and then the old water drains out and goes away, so the water is always refreshed. And if you're smart, you have a sprinkler or something in the middle of the pool to keep the water moving. Well, if the intake or the outtake of the pool gets jammed up, or the electricity to the sprinkler goes off, to the fountain goes off, now all of a sudden you have stagnant water in your backyard. And if you have stagnant water in your backyard, guess what you're going to have next? Mosquitoes, right? Because mosquitoes breed in stagnant water. So when the environment of the body goes south, any number of bad things start to happen, because that's life And, there was a very famous argument that existed back in the day when Louis Pasteur discovered germs. Louis Pasteur said it's the germ that's the thing, and the terrain or the environment of the body is irrelevant. That if you're exposed to a germ, it's going to gain a foothold, it's going to take over, and you're going to be SOL. On the other side of the argument was a man named Beauchamp. I forget his first name. Maybe Jean-Claude, but I just made that up. His name was Beauchamp. And Beauchamp argued that it's not the presence of the germ that's the problem, it's the environment of the body that gives the germ a place to live or not. And there's this raging argument for years. It still exists, quite frankly, and it's kind of like the nature-nurture argument inside of psychology, right? What is it that determines behavior? Is it your genetics, or is it how you're raised, right? Which one is it? Is it nature, or is it nurture that forms your personality? It's still an argument today. Well, on Louis Pasteur's deathbed, right, Louis Pasteur, the guy that discovered germs, he recanted and said it's not the germ, it's the terrain of the body. The terrain is everything. Now, interestingly enough, the pharmaceutical industry didn't want to hear that, and so they swept that one under the rug, and they went to the races to develop drugs to kill the bug, rather than to deliver therapeutics to make whole the environment of the body. Because our entire position is, if the body is healthy, there's no room for the bacteria, the mold, the yeast, the fungus, or the cancer cell to grow. It's just not there. It's not possible. There's a trillion, gazillion, bagillion mosquitoes in the world, but if there's no stagnant water in your house, there's no mosquitoes in your yard, because mosquitoes need stagnant water to live. It's the same with the sinus cavity. So we must nutrify the sinus cavity, and we do that with extra essential fatty acids on top of the Healthy Start Pack. So, the most economic way to do that then would be with the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, because the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack has the 90 essential nutrients plus extra EFAs plus extra selenium, which is never a bad idea. So in order to secure optimal function of the sinus cavity, that you give the 90 for life, appropriate for body weight, little extra selenium, and a little extra EFAs, or a lot extra EFAs. You can mess around with that. Another interesting factor related, I believe, to chronic sinusitis is chronic dehydration. Because if you're dehydrated, your sinus cavities and your upper respiratory tract is going to be affected first. It's going to dry up. So if it dries up simply because you're dehydrated, then the environment of the sinus cavity is not going to be optimized, and bugs are going to be able to gain a foothold and grow simply because you're dehydrated and you didn't know it. Now, kind of an old-fashioned down and dirty. Actually, this is not, I just lied. I made this up. This is a Dr. Glidden thing, right? I made this little test up. One way to test for dehydration, it's harder for women to do this, but you can do it. In one 24-hour period, every time you pee into a cup and measure it. Measure how many ounces you pee out. And in the same time period, measure in ounces how much liquid you drink. Whether it's juice, beer, wine, coffee, tea, milk. If it's a liquid, you measure how many ounces before you drink it down. And then at the end of the 24-hour period, you see if you peed out more ounces than you drank down. And if you did, you're dehydrated, right? That's pretty simple math. Now, there's one more thing that can be contributing to chronic sinusitis. And nobody talks about this except naturopaths and a few enlightened chiropractors. If you look at if you were to peel somebody's face back, peel the muscles back, and look at a living skull, not a calcified skull that's sitting in the corner in your high school biology class, right? Stony hard. But if you were to look at a living skull, in Technicolor, it exists with all of these puzzle pieces that are interlocking together. And I forget off the top of my head how many bones are present in the skull and the sinuses, which all fit together like pieces of a puzzle. And it's a fluid thing. It's not this stony, hard rock thing like the skeleton hanging in your classroom in your high school or college. It's not that at all. Living bone is very, very different from Mr. Bones hanging in the classroom. And if you've had a trauma to your head, like you were a kid and you fell out of the carriage onto your face, or somebody punched you and you broke your nose, or you were playing volleyball and somebody, smashed a volleyball into your face, or you were riding your bike and fell onto your cheek or whatever, right? Historical trauma can tweak the articulation of the bones in your sinuses, which you would never, ever know. You would never know, because you just kind of get used to having the bones in your sinuses be incorrect, be not the way that they should be. I don't know if you've ever been to a chiropractor, but if you have a backbone or that's out and you get a good chiropractic adjustment, it's like, oh my God, right? It's like, holy crap, what a difference that makes. Well, sometimes with chronic sinusitis, it's the anatomical architecture of the sinus cavities themselves that's the problem. So there is, interestingly enough, a therapeutic course of education that trains people in how to assess this and fix it if it's a problem. It's called craniosacral therapy. So my advice to anybody who's suffering from chronic sinusitis, especially if you've had the ream job surgery, find a certified craniosacral therapist. Tell them I sent you. Tell them you have chronic sinus condition and have them do an assessment of your sinus cavities. And if I'm right and there's something not right there and the craniosacral therapist can fix it, oh man, I mean, that's like gold, baby. I mean, it's quite remarkable. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I think I'm talking too much, Susie.
No, that's okay.
I kind of get the sense. I'm on a roll yesterday and today. How long have you been dealing with chronic sinusitis?
It comes and goes.
Is it worse seasonally for you?
It doesn't make any difference what season it is.
Yeah, so winter, spring, summer, fall. Do you remember any type of trauma to your head or face when you were younger?
No. Mm-mm.
You never had an automobile accident where the airbag deployed, nothing like that?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so I would have it assessed anyway. Well, so given that history, then what I would do is I would do the extra essential fatty acids, make sure you're hydrated, and I would do that for 3 to 6 months and see whether or not you get on the other side of the sinus condition. If you don't, then we must consider that it's an anatomical thing and go and see somebody and have it checked out. Okay,
great. Thank you.
All right, Susie, appreciate you. Who's up next? Marilyn in Minnesota, I think. Minnesota, yeah, Marilyn. Hey, Marilyn, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
What's happening, Marilyn? How's Minnesota?
Well, we're finally getting warm weather.
I know. You guys have been getting rain, winter. Lots and lots of rain after a really, really cold winter, right?
Yes, that's us.
Yeah. What part of the state are you in?
Central.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Very, very, very nice. Hey, thanks for the call. How can I help?
Well, I've had atrial fibrillation for 1.5 years.
Ooh.
And started on Wallach's vitamins last January, and did the heart pack and then the bone and joint pack, and then somebody sent me your webinar, so I watched that.
Have you done the ice to your back yet?
Yeah, I started yesterday, and I guess my question is, how long do I keep up this regimen?
All right, excellent question. Really, really good question, which makes you the smartest woman in Minnesota. We're up against a hard break, Marilyn. You stick with me. I'll answer this question for you when we come back. Stick around, folks. Welcome back, folks. Who's that sneaking around in the background? That's got to be your pharmaceutical rep. Pharmaceutical reps, by the way, give $50,000 of free samples per doctor per year away. $50,000 of free samples per doctor per year away. So if anybody tells you that, it's inappropriate for doctors to, we get this all the time in naturopathic medicine, that you shouldn't make money on the supplements. You shouldn't make money on the supplements. You shouldn't make money on the supplements. It's unethical. Well, that sword cuts both ways. Number one, it's entirely ethical, and the reason that we have to do it is because we have to survive, and medical insurance doesn't cover it. So if you think it's unethical to prescribe nutritional supplements, you're simply not paying attention to the bigger picture, number one. And number two, you're a hypocrite, because pharmaceutical companies give $50,000 of free crap to doctors every year that the doctor can use as a shill for the pharmaceutical company. It's the same thing in a different form, and it's nonsense. But there you go. What are you going to do? So we're talking to Marilyn in Minnesota. She's been laboring with atrial fib for a long time. Marilyn, you back with me? Come in, Marilyn.
Hello?
Are you there? Okay,
Hello?
Here we go. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Marilyn, how old are you, please, and how much do you weigh?
I'm 72, and I weigh about 180.
Okay, and how long have you been dealing with AFib?
A year and a half.
Okay, so that's 18 months.
It was October, a year ago last October.
Okay, have you, was it relative to anything? Did you fall down the stairs, or your dog die, or you moved into a new house, or was anything related in your life that's new or stressful when the AFib showed up?
It could have been stress. I've had it before, and the doctors gave me amiodarone, and it went back into sinus rhythm, and but they won't give me that anymore.
Right, and now, in fact, it just came back, and so now they're telling you they need to, burn the nerves and give you a pacemaker, right?
They wanted to kill parts of my heart, but I wouldn't go along with it. I've been taking about 12.5 milligrams of metoprolol.
So do you have high blood pressure as well?
No, I never had it before, but that's what they gave me for the AFib.
Well, that's interesting. I believe, I'd have to look that one up, but I believe that's called an off-label prescription, and MDs do this all the time.
It's beta blocker.
Yeah, it's a beta blocker, right? Yeah. So in any event, I don't want to go down that road right now. So, how have you been doing the ice, and how long have you been doing it for?
Every half hour for 10 minutes.
So you'll put 10 minutes on and 20 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 20 minutes off, like that?
Right.
And how many hours in total have you done that for?
Yesterday I started about 9 and quit at 10 p.m. And this morning I started at 8 and quit at when I called you.
Okay, very good. And there has been no noticeable, measurable change in the atrial fib?
No, it's still erratic heartbeat.
But has it changed at all? Has the erratic nature of it changed?
A little. Yesterday the blood pressure and the heart rate was down quite a bit, and so I forgot to take the metoprolol.
Yeah.
And when I thought about it, it was down so low that I still haven't taken it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But so your blood pressure is coming around, but the
it's
beating
up and down.
yeah, the beating of the heart is still funky, right?
Yeah. A couple hours ago, it was actually everything was up 137/80 and the rate was 113. So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
up and down.
It's up and down. I'm 137/80 is fine. The high end of normal is 140/90 as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
So, all right. So here's what I'm going to recommend you do. Well, have you seen a chiropractor?
Yes, I have for the last month or so. Having
All right,
work
another
on
break.
1 through 4.
Okay, hold on. I need to know more about this. This is fascinating to me. I've never seen this not resolve. This might be the first one. I don't know. Stick around, folks. This is interesting. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, trying to help Marilyn in Minnesota. Marilyn, I have never, ever seen my therapeutic intervention for atrial fibrillation fail. I've never seen it fail. So you're telling me recently you've seen a chiropractor and they've done adjustments to your upper back and that hasn't helped either?
Right. I've been doing that once a week for about 2 months. I've had the chiropractor adjust the T1 through T4.
Yeah. Okay, so since you've been on board with us and doing what we tell you to do, and diligently so, by the way, has anything improved in your life? Has anything gotten better?
Well, the blood pressure and the heart rate went down, but then it's fluctuated back up. So.
Okay, well, what about anything else, like mood, energy, appetite, sleep, weight, skin quality? I mean, has anything else, anywhere else in your body, mind improved while you've been following us?
I have got pretty white fingernails, smooth.
So your fingernails are better.
Yes. Oh, I will have to say I feel better.
Okay.
All around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's
I'm
what
just wondering, how long should I keep up this regimen with the ice and the decompression machine? And what can I expect?
What decompression machine? You go to the chiropractor and they put you on a decompression machine?
No, it was that home model that was on your webinar.
Oh, so you got that and you're using that every day?
Yeah, so, every 2 hours.
And is it? Do you feel any type of relief when you get off of it?
I think so. I think
okay. But nothing remarkable, right? So there is a gray area that's at play whenever we're involved with a holistic therapeutic. Okay. Have you been using the CM cream at all?
Every hour.
And how do you apply that?
I just rub it on the center of my back.
Well, how do you do that? Are you like double jointed?
Well, I can reach just about my whole spine, and then my husband will help me right between the shoulder blades.
All right. Okay. Great. So this is the first time I've been stumped, and I think ever on this radio show, because you're doing all the right stuff, excessively so.
Is the heart supposed to go back into sinus rhythm just like all of a sudden, or what?
Well, usually what happens is within 48 hours, the heartbeat starts to normalize again. Within 48 hours, it starts to normalize again. Rarely, it will take 72. So at this point in time, I would stop the ice. I would continue to use the CM cream, however, and I would do that for 2 more days. I would do the CM cream for 2 more days. I would stop using the decompression table. I would stop going to the chiropractor. I would continue the intake of the supplements. I would continue the dietary abstentions. And I would just let it ride. And because it's kind of like this, and this is a poor metaphor to be sure, but nonetheless it may be helpful. If you had a splinter, under your skin somewhere, and it had been there for a while, the area around the splinter is going to become red and inflamed, right?
Yeah.
When you finally figure it out and see the splinter, and then you remove the splinter, the redness and the swelling that was around the area of puncture doesn't go away overnight. It doesn't go away immediately when you pull the splinter out and the skin heals up, right? It takes a couple of days for the puncture wound to fix itself. So when there is an irritation to a spinal nerve, and let's say the irritation is a momentary thing, right? Because the discs are skinny in your back and you sneeze or you cough, or you turn around to get something, or you bend over the wrong way and whatever, and the nerve becomes irritated. After you stop that motion, whatever it was that made the nerve irritated, the nerve is still irritated. And it will take a while for that irritation to calm down and go away. Now, we accelerate the calming down, in this case, of the nerve with the anti-inflammatory action of the CM cream and the ice, right? That's the intention of that. It's to dampen down the irritation and the inflammation, which presumptively we believe is at the root cause of this problem. Now, sometimes, right, it takes 24 hours, sometimes 36, sometimes 48. I mean, we're really guessing here because there are too many variables to predict. But if inside of 72 hours there's no headway on this problem, then I'm not sure that our therapeutics are going to be sufficient to the cause. But this gets a little trickier, Marilyn. This gets a little trickier because unless you're hooked up to an EKG machine, right, like a 24-hour Holter monitor, which is measuring what's happening to your heart every second of the day, the heart can be changing its beating patterns slowly towards a healthier pattern, but you might not be aware of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the first, second, and third thing to do with a medical nutrition intervention is, number one, make sure that you're taking enough, and you are. Number two, make sure that you're absorbing what you're taking, and you are. And number three, give it more time. Now, one thing that you could do into the bargain here in order to move things along more expeditiously would be for the next 24 hours to increase your consumption of essential fatty acids. How many of those are you taking a day right now?
6.
And you're 180 pounds. Okay, so the next time you take some, take 4, and for the next day, next 2 days, please take 12 a day. 4 with breakfast, 4 with lunch, 4 with dinner of the EFA Plus. 4 with breakfast, 4 with lunch, 4 with dinner of the EFA Plus. So
for how many days?
Well, all day tomorrow. And the next time, you're probably on your 3rd dose of the EFAs today, right? I mean, the next time you take
EFAs, I take 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon.
And you've already done the afternoon dose?
No, I should say evening meal.
Okay, so starting tonight, I want you to take 4 with the evening meal.
Okay.
And then 4 3 times tomorrow.
Okay.
And if you only eat 2 meals, then, the second time or the first time that you take the EFAs, just eat a couple of crackers or something so that there can be something in your stomach along with the EFAs.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, I just want you to wait for 24 more hours and then call me back and tell me what happened.
Okay, 24 hours.
And by the way, FYI, my belief, based on 25 years of clinical experience and exhaustive reading on this subject, is that the upper end of normal blood pressure is 140/90.
How about heart rate?
It's got to be in the 70s somewhere. So your heart rate is accelerated, but your blood pressure is not high. Now, an MD will tell you that your blood pressure is high, but the MD is wrong, and I'm right.
Okay.
Okay. So, by the way, in order for someone to be definitively diagnosed with high blood pressure, they have to have 3 back-to-back readings where each number is elevated above 140/90. So both numbers have to be elevated 3 times in a row in order for, in my mind, someone to warrant a medication intervention. You're not even close to that. So you're kind of in the gray area of high blood pressure, which is well within the therapeutic intervention zone of medical nutrition. I can't tell you how many people I've seen with even full-blown high blood pressure, and they've been on high blood pressure medication for years. Within a couple of weeks or a couple of months of a medical nutrition program, their blood pressure is normal. So what type of calcium are you taking?
The OsteoFX.
Powder or liquid?
Liquid.
Okay, I'd like you to do 3 ounces a day from now on. 3 ounces a day for the next 3 days, please.
3 ounces for 3 days.
Yeah,
okay.
And does your stomach or your system tolerate orange juice well?
Yes.
Okay, so each time you take your calcium dose, put 1 ounce of the liquid calcium in a couple of ounces of orange juice and drink that down. Mix the two together, orange juice and liquid calcium. Honestly, I don't care how much orange juice you use, as long as it's 2 ounces, okay?
Okay.
So I'd like you to do 1 ounce of the liquid calcium 3 times a day. Continue the CM cream. Stop the table. Stop the ice. Increase your EFAs and let it ride and see how far it takes you.
Now, on the EFAs, the EFA Plus comes with the pack, the start pack, and then, like, for the heart and brain, there was EFA, just plain EFA.
Yeah, I don't care which one you do. Well, I do, actually. In your case, what I would like you to do for the next 2 days is the EFA Plus.
Okay.
At 12 a day. Yeah, and that's a good distinction. So for the next 2 days, I'd like you to do the EFA Plus at 12 a day.
Okay. I've been doing them both, or 2 EFA plain and then 1 EFA Plus.
Well, yeah, and that's a good idea, but I think you need more of the EFA Plus because the EFA Plus has stuff in it which is anti-inflammatory. Actually, the same stuff that's in the CM cream is in the EFA Plus. So you're going to be getting it externally and internally, and that will ostensibly help to knock down the inflammation, which we believe is at the root cause of this.
That could just be the thing.
It could just be the thing. Something has to be the thing. Because I tell you, I have never seen this therapeutic not work. I've never seen it not work. I think it's always the first time, but I don't think it's going to be with you, Marilyn. So check it out and get back to me and let me know how it goes.
All right.
All right. I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate your...
Well, you can thank me after it works. You're welcome, though. I understand the sentiment. It's well received here. Thank you very much. All right, looks like our old friend, oh no, could it be Shannon from Texas is back? OMG. Welcome back, Shannon. Oh, my God. How you doing, girl?
Fantastic. How are you?
Fantastic. Yes, indeed. I just want you to know I let my horses run wild just the other day because I couldn't stand shackling them. I couldn't stand hobbling them anymore. I released them back into the Mustang community because that's just how I am.
I hope you were wearing tall boots because you.
Hey, Shannon, wouldn't you know it? Here's a commercial break. Stick around. I'll pull you up immediately when we come back. Appreciate your patience. Stick around, folks. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and guess what? This is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, everybody. Finishing up today's show with Shannon from Texas. You still with me, Shannon?
Yes, I am.
All right. So what's up and how can I help?
Okay, I have I'm stumped on 2 different things. One, I have a friend, I thought we were dealing with varicose veins, but she's been to 2 doctors, and because she has one leg that from the knee down, she does have what looks like varicose veins on the back, and now it's started on the front, her foot, it's getting down into her foot. She's 51, weighs about 140, 5'8". The doctors have told her and shown her on like some type of sonogram that the valve in her leg is actually what's causing the problem. That she has a valve in her vein, and the blood seeps back down after it's circulating out, and so it's causing it to pool and make big veins in her leg. Both doctors have suggested that they do something to obliterate the valve and either laser the veins or strip them out, because they've gotten it has increased. She has not been on 90 for life, which she's willing to do that if it will repair. But it's a pretty. I'm just trying to figure out if it's past repair and needs surgery on top of good nutrition.
Well, God only knows. The MDs don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We don't have that crystal ball. Nobody knows. But here's what I do know. It's not a life-threatening surgery. It's not a life-threatening condition. So surgery, she's not going to die if she doesn't have the surgery, right? So when it's a non-life-threatening condition, the recommendation always is try medical nutrition for 90 days or for something like this, maybe 6 months, and look to see if you get any traction from it, because you probably are. And remember, the explanation that the MDs brings to the table just doesn't make logical sense, right? Because what on earth caused the valve all of a sudden to either be present or not be present, or to stop working or whatever? They can't explain that. So there's some type of metabolic process at play here that's been at play for a long time that's making the function of the veins be weak. So simply roto-rooting the veins is not going to do anything to that metabolic process. It's still going to be there. So it's only a matter of time until something else in her body blows up, and then, another surgery, and then another surgery, and then another surgery, and then she's dead. So it's always our opinion that we intervene in nutrition way before we even think about going under the knife, especially in the 21st century with the massive amount of antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections that are being promulgated into the world through your hospital's operating room. So what do, right? Well, the recommendation, what to do to support and promote the structure and function of the arteries and the veins. Healthy digestion pack, extra selenium, extra glucogel. You may want to give her the Immortalium in this case. Salt her food. Make sure 50% of the food that she eats is protein, and complete abstinence from the 10 bad foods is the most excellent place to start.
Okay. I guess what threw me off was she doesn't have any type of varicose veins or issues anywhere else, like no hemorrhoids, no, it was just in that place. But and we've also done cypress oil on the vein, just to try to reduce the swelling. And
well, it might not be. It might be as simple a thing as not enough protein in the blood, and that the veins are just the byproduct of the problem here. And it could also be a low-grade thrombophlebitis, a low-grade inflammation right to the veins in the body. So in any event, eliminate the 10 bad foods. Give the healthy digestion pack, selenium, glucogel, and Immortalium, appropriate for body weight, and make sure 50% of everything she eats is protein. All right, we got 47 seconds left, Shannon. Did you have a number 2?
Burning tongue syndrome, 2 years.
Osteoporosis of the skull. Osteoporosis of the skull is the first thing to consider, and so we would support and promote the skull the same way that we would if it were vertigo. And you know how to do that because you are the smartest woman in Texas. And, in fact, you have spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. Appreciate your support. Keep up the good work. You are the last best hope, as everybody listening is, for people in your world to have long, healthy, and wealthy lives. God willing, and the creek don't rise. See you tomorrow. Dr. Glidden, live long and prosper.